Hi everyone, welcome back to the CollabCast. I'm editor Katie Cusack and I'm here with Anna Pillot. Welcome.
Thank you.
Anna is the creator and artistic director of Emerging Choreographers Project, which is a really cool thing that's happening to the dance community here. And you've been at it for a few years. Why don't you tell us how it got started or what kind of drew you to start the project?
Sure. So we started in 2017. I moved to the area in almost 7 years ago now in August, and it took me a little while to really figure out where the dance scene was. Granted, I was traveling at the time, so I wasn't here full time, but finally when I did find it, it started to feel a little bit disconnected to me. So the companies all kind of knew each other, but didn't really collaborate. And I was having a harder time finding opportunities to present my own choreography. So I thought it would be great to create a project that would feature and fund emerging choreographers or up-and-coming choreographers who wanted to have a space to present their work. And the first ideas for Emerging Choreographers Project was born. And then I applied for funding at the Art Center in Troy through using EBA as my fiscal sponsor and was granted funding. So we showed work in 2017 at Albany Center Gallery in downtown Albany and featured the work of 6 choreographers.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was that process like in terms of going out and trying to find someone to back this project?
Interesting. I had never written a grant before.
Right.
I learned how to do it in college in our dance for real life class.
Yeah, of course.
Which
Dance
always
for real
seemed kind of like ambiguous and a little bit like how to stay out of jail 101. We always kind of joked about it. But I never really thought I would actually use the skill set of grant writing. And Maud Baum, who is the artistic director of her own company, Maud Baum and Company Dance Theater, as well as of EBA Dance Theater, just kind of would send me over links for things. And she sent over one for the Art Center. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. And so she really mentored me and walked me through and has supported this project since then as well as fiscal sponsor. So I was lucky to have a mentor to kind of bounce things off of. And I also, I think, have a unique idea. So there wasn't anything like this already in the community. So I think that's part of why they granted me funding initially.
It's such a great opportunity for dancers to kind of show their own, which is really great.
Yeah.
And so you said you started in Albany Center Gallery. What kind of audience did that draw at first, and how did it build?
So we started with one night only. Last year we had 3 shows, and then this year we're going to have 2. But Tony, the director at Albany Center Gallery, is incredible, wanted to collaborate, was super supportive, and was all about having dance in their space. So he and the gallery promoted it as well, and we actually drew about 100 people crammed in there. You could barely see. I couldn't even watch the show from the backstage because there was no space. Yeah. And the project is always free to attend. So that's one really important component for me, is that it's free for the community to have more access to dance, and then the choreographers in turn get feedback from a wide range of people. There's always a talk back after each performance, and it feels more collaborative beyond just the dance community, and that's important for me.
Absolutely. I know I had been talking to Stephanie before, who helps you with this project, and she had mentioned that she was really surprised at how much the audience really wanted to be asking questions and had a lot to say to the choreographers. So it's that hunger was there for interactive dance and communication, which is great.
Definitely. It felt like it was a void that needed to be filled and that the community wanted it. Stephanie's our marketing director. So she's worked with you also on the article, but without her, the project wouldn't, no one would know about it. So I'm so grateful for her.
It's been great.
Yeah.
So you've built out this project at this point for this year's show, which is going to be in August.
Yep.
which to the point where it outgrew Albany Center Gallery. Did you sort of see that ahead of time, or were you at any point trying to make it work still in that space, or were you like trying to aim for something that was much bigger?
I would have loved to stay in that space. I love the idea of cross-disciplinary collaboration. So having the visual art on the wall. Last year, all of the photographs, I forget the artist, but all of the photographs were of the human body.
Yeah.
So it worked really beautifully with dance, and then it was promoting his work as well as showcasing the movement.
Yeah.
The problem is that there's not a lot of seating, and then the sight lines are a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
So maybe one day we can figure out like one show at the gallery and one show in a more traditional theater. But the thinking this year with the Cohoes Music Hall, which is incredible, I'm super pumped to be there, is so that we can also film the work and gift the film to the choreographers as well for their promotional purposes, and then have a little bit more of a traditional theater feel and see how that goes, and if it works better, or if we prefer to be in a more intimate gallery setting for the next year.
Yeah. Or why not both?
Or both, yeah. I would love to do something crazy outside.
Yes.
We had tried to be outside, but we're having some issues with like permitting and dates and things like that. And there's always the question of weather. But maybe next year we'll be outside somewhere and do free dance outside,
that'd be really
which would
cool.
be awesome.
Yeah, I know. We've talked about that before, that's one of your kind of like big aspirations for the Capital Region, is to have a huge dance festival, which would be so cool, on top of all the other like food and music and film festivals that we do have around here.
I think it'd be really rad to be able to go to live dance outside on a summer night, and then even have it, I don't know how long it would be, this festival in my dreams, but like even if it was like a 4-day thing, and some of the larger companies in the area, like Ellen Sinopoli or Maud Baum and Company, Nakra Dance in Saratoga. I know Laurie, who has Loose Change Dance Collective, she participated in year 1 as well, but having some of these other companies like anchor evenings, and then have Emerging Choreographers Project be one aspect, and then also have a day where it showcases all the dance like schools in the area or cultural dance, and just have it be all the dance that we have in Albany featured in 4 days and as free as possible would be really so cool. Yeah. So if anyone wants to donate some funds, we're always looking, emergingchoreographers.com.
Support local art.
Yeah.
Gotta do it. So you have a pretty good range of dancers who are going to be in this year's show. Are there any particular ones that stand out to you in terms of like brand new work that you're showing this year?
So this year we have 5 brand new to the project, and 3 returning. 2 of the 3 returning artists have participated in all 3 years. So that's Laura Teeter and Sarah Senecal. And then Luisa Barta, this is her 2nd year. And we have 5 brand new. One that I'm super excited is Whitney Wilson. She is a student in Boston, I think at Boston Conservatory. But I'd have to double check that.
It's somewhere in Boston.
In Boston. And so she's a young artist, still in college. She's home for the summer. She's from this area. And I'm pumped to see her duet. It's her and a male dancer. And then we also have Dory Boyce, who's doing Lindy Hop. So there's like a really wide variety. There's also 2 newer choreographers, Elena and Caitlin, I believe. Maybe it's Shannon and Caitlin. There's also an Elena. But they're all newer, I believe, to the choreography scene. So they're really in it to get feedback on their work. They're starting out, they're excited to show work, and they're not as established, which is totally the goal of the project.
Yeah, because you got to have somewhere to build from.
Right.
This is a great opportunity for that.
Yeah.
What kind of guidelines are you looking for from people who would like to be involved in emerging choreographers, like as this continues to go on?
That's a great question. This year was, last year we weren't able to take everyone, and this year we had way more applicants than we were able to take. So it was a really difficult decision. We have an anonymous panel who goes through the applications, and what came up was we weren't always clear on what the choreographer was intending to present. So applications that don't have a lot of detail to them or aren't very descriptive are difficult.
Yeah.
So we're just looking for someone who has an interesting and unique, new, fresh perspective, who is wanting that feedback, who's truly emerging, who doesn't have access maybe to present work on their own.
Right.
And who can really benefit from what the project goals are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sort of have that clear creative focus and something to present and work on. Just
Right.
makes sense to have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember I talked to Laura Teeter, and she was kind of raving about how easy the process is to sort of enter. It's not, jumping through hoops. You're just like clearly presenting your work, which is something that's like also really nice for people who are emerging and they're busy and
Right.
they're doing all these things. And it's like, okay, I don't want to like go through this long drawn out process. I just want to like give you what I've got.
Yeah. So the applications usually open, I think we open them in March or April. Once we confirm venue and details is
Right.
when we can open it. And then it's open for about a month generally. We take like a week to review and then notify everyone so that they have like at least like, I think they had about 8 weeks this year before the show, so that they can work. And we try to keep it as simple as possible.
Right.
I know, speaking of Laura, like she has a lot of irons in the fire and
Yeah.
is all over. So someone like her, we of course want her to be able to be involved. So if
Right.
it has a lot of components to it, it gets a little bit complicated.
Right. Yeah. People don't necessarily have the time and energy to
Yeah.
be working on.
I've also noticed that even producing this year, I'm not showing my own choreography. I really want to focus on producing a quality show or
Yeah.
a quality performance for everyone. So working with all of these different choreographers has really opened up the community for me as well. And I feel like we're all in a similar place.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily a similar age range, but pretty close. And we're the future of dance in Albany. And so it really is up to us to like put dance in the front. I feel like sometimes it gets buried behind the other
Yeah.
arts.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I've already noticed like a more open, collaborative feel to it. And I think it's just even through introductions. Like it's
Yeah.
not like no one wanted to collaborate. It's just having the space to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you're working in a field that's not exactly, like brought up like other fields are, like, how are you really supposed to find anyone else to work with?
Right.
Everybody's kind of in their own little cave. I don't want to
Yeah.
call it cave, but it's true. Like working
Everyone
on
has
their own
blinders
things.
on.
Right. And just trying to do like their best work, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
And I haven't felt, I think there's always room for everyone.
Yeah.
And when we start to feel scarcity is when we start to feel that competitive edge or
Yeah.
like, oh, well, if they have that opportunity, I won't have it or
Right.
things like that. So I think the more we open it up and say like, there's room for everyone at the table and there's space, the better it's going to be.
Yeah. It's always an interesting conversation about
Yeah.
like scarcity and do we have enough or do we have too much, and like what does that mean about what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of like when it gets like too much of something. I'm literally blanking. Yeah. Or it's just like, and then
it's like
people,
inundated.
and like people aren't going to care about it anymore if there's too much of it around. And it's like, well, it doesn't have to be that way. If it's just good work, it's good work.
Right.
And different work too. And that's what's probably cool about, seeing these acts go on every year. And even if it's the same choreographer, I'm sure they're working on very different things.
The goal is that it's always new or recent work. So
Great.
part of the application is that it has to be work within the past 2 years. And ideally it's something that the choreographer would like feedback on. So it's not like a fully polished piece that they've had in their repertoire for 6 years. It's truly something new. And I think that really opens up the project to anyone. So yes, the word emerging kind of implies brand new or up and coming, but your work could be emerging or you're trying something new or different. So then that qualifies for the project.
Yeah. I mean, Lindy Hop isn't necessarily an emerging dance form, but it feels emerging because it's not really common anymore. Like you don't see it places. And,
Yeah.
and even like talking to Dorothy, that was really cool to like learn about the community that exists, and it's so underground, and trying to kind of bring some light to it and build it out
Yeah.
and get people involved. And then you have Laura's piece, which is this like life's work that she's basically doing to Mozart's Requiem, which is like really cool just to know that what you're watching is just a tiny piece of something that she's been building on just for her entire dance career. And
Right.
like it'll eventually be this whole thing. It's
Yeah.
like kind of a cool thing to witness.
You have a head start because you got to sneak
I
peek
did.
those and I was away. So, but I know, like, even as an artist, like there are those pieces of music or those ideas that we have over time,
Yeah.
that are built out and don't come to fruition right
Yeah.
away. Like the piece for my company, People Who Move, with all the dresses.
Yeah.
It's called Brushed Off. I've worked on that one since 2014, I think. And each year it shifts a little bit that I do
Changes.
it. And it's really like fleshed out.
Yeah.
It's been fleshed out over like a long time.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see.
Yeah.
Dance is a living art form. You only see it, I feel like it has the most impact live. Yes, you can see dance on film, and then there's a genre, dance for camera, which is really cool. But when you're in the moment with the artists, that only exists for that time. So
Yeah.
it's just really cool.
Absolutely. And I love just sort of like being in on a piece of somebody's like creative development, where it's like, oh, I've been thinking about this for so long and I finally found it. And it's
Yeah.
like, this is it. And I don't know, that always gets me so psyched. I'm like,
I
yes.
feel like I always want to cry when I'm talking to you. We get so passionate. Like it brings a
Let it
tear to
out.
my eye. You get it.
I won't let you cry on camera.
Okay, great.
We're going to keep it light, keep it fun.
So fun.
Yeah, having a great time. So if people want to come out and see the show, when can they do it, and where can they, do they have to get tickets, or is it kind of open to just show up?
So it's August 15th and 16th at the Cohoes Music Hall. And it's at 7:30 p.m. That's a Thursday night and a Friday night. So it's a little summer friendly. If you still want to go
Yeah.
away for the weekend, you won't have to miss the show. Tickets are free. We ask if people wouldn't mind reserving in advance via emergingchoreographers.com/tickets. And we are funded by grants and donations. So if people feel that they can give something, all of our tickets can be reserved with a donation as well.
Nice.
And if anyone wants to make a significantly large donation, we also can do tax-deductible donations. So just reach out to us for more info via our website.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
This has been great. Always great to talk to you.
Good.